Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Edens. I'm a financial consultant, and I'm here to help you level up your money and your brand. So if you're interested in learning financial skills, wealth mindset skills, as well as entrepreneurial skills, as I share different lessons that I'm learning in my own entrepreneurial journey, then please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much, and it's lovely to see you again. So I have been taking a little bit of a break from YouTube the last couple of weeks, as many of my subscribers probably noticed. And I've been doing something that I've been wanting to do for a while, which is to start a vintage shop on Etsy. So here's my shop. It's called Marigold and Memories, and it's a vintage boutique over on Etsy. And it has been kind of a lifelong dream of mine to have either like a vintage shop or an antique shop. And so having it on Etsy lets me do that while also still doing what I do here with financial consulting on YouTube. And it has just absolutely been the most fun journey on Etsy. And so while it's been fresh on my mind, I wanted to do a little crash course in how to start an Etsy shop. And I'll be doing a lot more things about Etsy, as well as my entrepreneurial journey on YouTube and how to monetize YouTube, how monetization and making money with Etsy works, all of these other things. Because as you know, I'm really passionate about multiple income streams, passive income, things like that. So if you're interested in that, definitely stick around, come subscribe, and come join our growing community. Okay, so let's take a look at Etsy, shall we? So here's your quick start guide to starting an Etsy shop. And these are the things that I learned over the last 2 months of getting started on Etsy. So the first thing is a really basic thing, obviously. Decide what you're going to sell on Etsy. So there's lots of different niches on Etsy. If you just kind of take a cruise through, you can see that people sell absolutely everything basically over there. And so think about, is it an item you're going to make yourself? Are you selling vintage or antique items like what I'm doing? Are you doing collectible pieces? Are you selling Christmas ornaments? There's just so many different vendors and artists and craftsmen and artisans and collectors on Etsy. It's a really fun community. So it really can help to look, if you've kind of figured out what you're generally thinking about doing, it can help to look and see what other Etsy sellers in your niche are up to and get a feel for kind of what their shops look like, what their prices look like, and how well things sell in that niche, and also how full is that niche, because that's the other thing to think about, is if there's a ton of other people on Etsy doing exactly the same you're thinking about doing, then you have to think about how are you going to make your shop stand out from all the other jewelry shops, for example, on Etsy, or all the other, in my case, vintage shops on Etsy. So it really takes some kind of entrepreneurial mindset as well. But first and foremost is sort out what you're going to sell. Then the second thing is to understand Etsy's fees. Now, there are people who feel like Etsy isn't transparent enough about their fees. I feel like they're pretty straightforward about exactly how much of a commission they take. I haven't had any surprises so far, and I've been selling with them for 2 months now. So here's the breakdown for this. So they charge a number of different fees, as well as taking a percentage of each sale. Now, this is where it's important to think through what you're going to be selling, roughly how much you want to price that each item at, and then make sure you'll be actually making money off the sale once you pay Etsy's fees, as well as shipping. In my case, shipping's actually been running more than Etsy's fees for the most part. So it's really important to kind of do the math even before you start and think about if Etsy is even the right platform for you to sell on, or if you'd be better selling on maybe a local Facebook marketplace or a local craft fair, a local arts show. There's lots of different places that you can sell your items that aren't necessarily online. So kind of to think that through. But here's the fees that Etsy charges right now at the time that I am filming this, which is in the fall of 2024. And this is totally subject to them changing this. So if this changes, just track with whatever they say on their website. So first and foremost, they have a listing fee. So they charge a flat fee of 20 cents for each listing for sale. So every time I list an item for sale on my boutique, it'll charge me 20 cents per listing, and that's every 4 months. So initially it'll charge me 20 cents, and then if it sells before the end of 4 months, I won't get charged again. Obviously, if it's still there 4 months later, I get charged 20 cents again for that item, if that makes sense. So there's that. The second thing is a transaction fee. Right now, Etsy is taking a 6.5% commission on the total sale price, excluding sales tax and shipping. So just the total sales price right off the top, Etsy takes 6.5%. Then they take a payment processing fee, which varies by country. So for sellers in the US, like I am, the payment processing fee is 3% of the sale plus 25 cents per transaction. So 3% plus a quarter per transaction. So international rates may vary slightly from this. So if you're a seller overseas, like check their website and see what they're saying about that. And then the fourth thing that they are doing, which I'm opted out of right now, if you have a high volume of sales, you can't actually opt out of this. But if you're in kind of a smaller boutique niche like what I'm in, you can absolutely opt out of this. It's called their offsite ads fees. Now, they will automatically enroll you in this. So you have to go and manually disenroll or unenroll yourself when you get to that point. But if Etsy promotes your listing through their offsite ads, so like on Google or Facebook or wherever, you will be charged an additional fee when an item sells through one of those ads. Now get this, that fee is 15% of your order total, which is why I opted out of it, as you can imagine. But you are only charged if the ad leads to a sale. But still, I mean, personally, I don't want to give away an extra 15% on top of the 6.5% commission and the 3% payment processing fee. It's like, so I'm just coping with not having offsite ads, and my sales have been doing fine. So like I said, you can opt out of that until you get to a certain volume of sales. I want to say it's like 10,000 sales a month or something crazy. So there's probably Etsy shops that are doing that kind of volume, but not little moi. So yeah, I don't have to worry about that. So if you want to save yourself an extra 15% on commission, just opt out of offsite ads as a new seller. Third thing to think about when you are doing your crash course to starting your shop is see if the name you want for your shop is available. So Etsy has a search tool that you can go and plug in your name that you're thinking about naming your shop, and just go and like see if it's available. Now, also, if you're thinking about your brand and your kind of long-term future of your brand, should your brand have a long-term future? We never know this when we start businesses, right? But I mean, I always plan for success, and then if it fails, it's like, whatever. But that's entrepreneurship for you. But what I also recommend that you see is think about the shop name you want to use, and then see if the domain name, like the .com domain name, is available. So you can search for that. And see if you can purchase the domain name that matches it. And then also, most importantly, other than your domain name, is check your social media handles. So see if there's an Instagram, see if there's a TikTok, see if there's a Facebook. If you're remotely ever thinking about having a YouTube to go with your business, like a partner YouTube channel, check YouTube. And don't settle on a shop name until you've kind of sorted all that out. Because I want to say, I don't know if you can change your Etsy shop name later. So, but regardless, it's always good to just kind of have all your ducks in a row that way. And buying domain names is cheap. And obviously social media handles are free. So that was something that I did when I was naming Marigold and Memories, is I had a couple of other names that I was thinking about, but the .com websites weren't available, and the social media website or the social media handles weren't available. So when I found at Marigold and Memories and marigoldandmemories.com, and it was available on Etsy, then I was like, okay, this is great. We're in business, literally. So that was my process for picking my business name. And it's interesting because there's so many other sellers on Etsy that there might even be people with your like first name, last name for the shop name. So that was the case with mine. I couldn't even do like Sarah Edens as my shop name over there, which is funny. So I love Marigold and Memories so much as a business name and as a brand. It's just like probably my favorite. Is it my favorite brand? Of course, it's closely tied to my YouTube and what I'm doing here with Sarah Edens Financial. But in terms of just like a creative, fun brand, Marigold and Memories is like my absolute favorite business I think I've ever started in my life. So lots of fun. You know, and Etsy is not for everybody, so it might not be your cup of tea, and that's okay. But just as things to think through as you're looking at opening an Etsy shop. The fourth thing that Etsy has you do is verify your identity and your bank account information. And I really like this because this stops trolls or robo whatever's from setting up shops. You have to be like verified, you have to be legit, you have to have a bank account. So you'll need an official form of ID, credit card, and a bank account number to get started. Their whole verification process is super straightforward. The bank verification took like 4 days, maybe 4 business days, 5 business days, somewhere in there, and then I was good to go. Then what you want to do once they've verified you and everything is you get started designing your shop homepage. So Etsy walks you through this. I always recommend that you start with a logo from the get-go, and Canva is my I love you so much, Canva. But Canva is my favorite designer, easy, DIY logo designer, everything designer. I use it for all my thumbnails here on YouTube. I use it for all my branding for Sarah Eden's Financial as well as for Marigold and Memories. But it's great. It's like the best money I spend every year is my Canva subscription. So go check out Canva. They have a free one as well that you can use just to play around with it. You can design a logo over there for your shop. You can set up your about page. You can set up your shop policies, just lots of good stuff. It's basically like they have the platform for basically a mini website, and it's so much easier than website development. I've designed 4 websites so far on Squarespace and 1 on another one. And this is so much easier. It's so much easier to just use Etsy. So I feel like in terms of getting you up and running as a business, yes, they take a commission and they take their cuts and stuff, but you don't have to do your own marketing and you don't have to do your own web design. So it's just amazing not having to fuss with all of that, to be honest. Okay, so that's all the good stuff about setting up your shop homepage. Then after that, you take your shop live, you start listing items for sale, which is super fun. That's where you want to make sure you provide clear photos. They prioritize listings with videos, so I have videos on every single one of mine. And then I have my partner Instagram for Marigold and Memories as well, and I use the videos and photos to make reels. And so that's super fun. And so you can kind of do that. Also, Instagram's been driving about 20% of my traffic over to Etsy. So I would highly recommend check out using Instagram or TikTok as ways to drive business to your Etsy shop. You want to provide dimensions, detailed listings, and so forth. You can set up refunds and returns policies at this stage and really walk through that. If you're not sure quite how to format your listings, go check out other sellers in your niche and see what they're doing, honestly, because that'll give you a good feel for how to set up yours in terms of how much detail to provide about each item. And then the 7th thing to do is to set up your shipping options. So shipping has been a learning curve for me. I wasn't expecting shipping to be the part that was actually the hardest, but lately it's been something that I'm still sorting out. So Etsy gives you many different shipping options to choose from. The majority of the Etsy sellers I've ever used and shopped with have shipped USPS here in the United States. And I'm only shipping to the US right now because I haven't figured out all the nuances and detail that go to shipping overseas. So I'm just starting as a new seller shipping here in the United States. But a lot of people ship globally. I may eventually ship globally as well when I get to that point. But it's really good to figure out kind of how to make your shipping most cost effective, because that's a big piece of the cut into your profits, other than what Etsy takes in the commission, is the shipping profit or the proceeds you have to pay towards shipping costs. And so just kind of do some research on that. Etsy has a lot of tools that will help you kind of set up different shipping profiles, pick who you want to ship with, figure out kind of estimated shipping costs. You can actually buy shipping labels through Etsy, which is nice. I've started out shipping on USPS, and I'm using Priority Mail because they've got insurance, because I'm selling vintage and antique items, and so I've got those insured during the shipping process. But for your things you're selling, you may not really feel that strongly about having insurance on it and not have to worry about that perhaps. And so then it's not going to cost nearly as much. UPS has an interesting option that I'm exploring right now that's kind of a competitor, not a wonderful competitor, but a competitor to USPS Priority Mail, and that is called UPS Simple Rate. And I will link to a link down below of where you can use that. It's basically their flat rate shipping. It goes UPS ground, and they give you some discounted rates on that for business owners. It's a little bit of a clunky process, and you can't select it through Etsy, which is annoying, but If you go buy the labels yourself through UPS, you can do that. So anyway, learning curve on the shipping. And then obviously then once you've shipped something, you're communicating with your buyers about, hey, I've shipped the package to you. Here's the tracking number. And then you're following up with them to make sure they got it, make sure everything's good. So there's some kind of follow through once you've made the sale. So the work doesn't end when you've made the sale. You always want to follow through, close the loop, make sure they got it, make sure it got delivered properly, everybody's good. The only thing that's really out of my hands as a seller in this whole process is porch pirates. So I have a policy that I just set up last night actually about porch pirates. When it comes to insurance, USPS and UPS, if you do their insured options, only cover it till it hits the customer's, doormat at the front door. And then they're done and they're not going to insure it anymore. And I'm done and I'm not going to provide any refunds if somebody porch pirates it or, steals it off the front porch. So that's something, again, to be really upfront with your customers and really clear, especially because theft off of porches is a real problem in some areas. And so just lots of interesting things to think through that maybe you've never really thought about before. Certainly I hadn't, in terms of porch piracy, for example, and how that was going to affect my business's bottom line. And then the 8th thing to think about when you're getting your quick start to Etsy is to buy any packing and mailing supplies you need ahead of time before your first sale. You can always buy more later, but just kind of get a feel for what you're going to do in terms of packing. Make sure you've got packing paper. If you're shipping fragile things, you might want to think about getting bubble wrap or packing paper to keep it in place. You might want to get some fragile handle with care stickers to put on the outside of the box. There's just all kinds of different things, and you'll figure it out as you go along. But it's good to at least have the essentials of what you need for packing and shipping ahead of time so that you're not scrambling the minute your first sale comes in. Because one of the things that Etsy customers really value, and really customers anywhere, right, is a very short lag time between when they put their order in and they get their purchase. And so you do not want it to be 2 weeks, unless you have set that as a expectation because maybe you're shipping to them overseas, for example. But you don't want to have a really long lag time and have them be hello, I haven't received my order yet and I haven't heard anything from you. And it's been forever. Where are you? You don't ever want to have that conversation with your customers. So communication is really key. I feel like all the things I learned when I was working in sales back in the day and in customer service is really coming back to play as I've been doing customer service on Etsy. And to circle back around for a minute, speaking of that, when I was talking about when you're thinking about what's going to make your brand different from every other brand on Etsy, what's going to make your jewelry shop different from every other jewelry shop on Etsy, really think through the things people value. They value customer service. They value free things. So it's a reason that Etsy right now is prioritizing listings that offer free shipping. So I'm offering free shipping on all of my items. As you can see right here from my listings, all of them have free shipping. And they really, as far as I can tell from my customers so far, and I've just had some wonderful customers in the first 2 months of doing business on Etsy, they really like the personal touches. So make sure to use people's names as much as possible. Don't send out generic notes being Dear Etsy customer, your order has shipped. No. Be Dear Catherine, thank you so much for ordering. Can't wait for you to get your item. You can still have kind of a standard thing that you send out, but make sure that you personalize it with people's names. The other thing that I've done to stand out in my niche is I'm offering free gift wrap because I just like wrapping things. Gifts are my love language. And so I really enjoy that personal touch. So everybody gets free gift wrapping. Everybody gets free shipping with that insured option with either USPS or UPS simple rate. And, some of these things, depending on what you're selling, what your niche is, your whole kind of figuring out how to be that standout product, that standout brand is going to look really different from mine. So don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing for your brand to stand out, not at all. But what I will say is that what I've seen from other sellers on Etsy who have been highly successful is they've really got their branding down, they've got their packaging down, they've got their customization down in terms of using the customer's name in all the communications. And then they're really fast at getting the item to their customers, so their customers aren't sitting around. And like, as I'm filming this, I'm like, okay, like I need to finish filming this. Like I'm having so much fun with you too, but I need to like get on with it because I've got 2 orders that I need to go gift wrap and pack up so I can take them to UPS tomorrow. So it's a lot of fun being a seller on Etsy, and it's absolutely a delight. I have had so many wonderful conversations with my customers over there, and it's a really fun creative community. So it's a great thing to do as a side job in addition to your day job. So it's been a great thing for me to do in addition to what I'm doing in finance, because I can put the listings up as I have time, and then sometimes they'll just sell overnight. So talk about like making money in my sleep. I'll wake up in the morning and have 2 sales, and it's such a fun feeling to see that happening. And so it's kind of like some of that asynchronous work is really kind of my business strategy, and what I enjoy the most with my businesses that I've set up is businesses that are very asynchronous. So for example, I'm filming this YouTube video today in the end of September, and you'll be watching it, later in the week or later in October. And so just having work that I can do on my own kind of schedule when it works for me, and then present that to my audience here on YouTube, present it to you, or present my items, my listings to my Etsy customers as I'm able to, just gives me that flexibility so that it's not too overwhelming trying to run 2 businesses at the same time, and then also leaves breathing room in my schedule for taking care of myself and taking care of my pets who are getting older and needing a lot more care than they used to, spending time with my loved ones, kind of keeping up with all those day-to-day things as well, because that's really the balancing act with entrepreneurship. So I feel like Etsy is really strong on that one. If you're looking for a job that you can do in addition to your day job, it's just a really, really good fit for that, because you can kind of do it as you have time. So it's really great. And then the only thing that's time sensitive, obviously, is shipping things out to your clients. So that's really the only time sensitive piece of the whole Etsy process. So that is really everything that goes into starting your first Etsy shop, and some kind of my thoughts on getting started in your niche, having a way to set your brand up for success from the start and from the get-go. And it has just been a delightful experience on Etsy. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. If you have any thoughts you want to share, if you have an Etsy shop and want to share those with us in the comments, or any thoughts if you're an entrepreneur as well and want to share some of your thoughts about how to make your brand successful, as always, I would love to hear that in the comments. And thank you so much for being part of our community here, whether you're a subscriber, a new subscriber, or just kind of thinking about subscribing. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon.